Ferrari just made a decision that could either win the championship or blow up their entire season before it even starts. Days before the first race in Australia, insiders are leaking details about a hidden engine upgrade worth nearly 4/10 per lap. 4/10. At the first Grand Prix of the year, a redesigned 067/6 power unit, a smaller turbo eliminating lag out of slow corners, a rear wing system gaining up to 12 kilometers per hour on the straights, and a diffuser concept rivals are already trying to copy. But here's the part that makes this explosive. Ferrari was not supposed to bring this package yet. This was meant for later. Instead, they are going all in at round 1. Why risk revealing your biggest weapon before the season even settles? Because internally, Ferrari believes this Australian Grand Prix could decide the psychological war of the entire championship. If they dominate in Melbourne, development direction across the grid shifts overnight. If they fail, every rival gains confidence. And that is why what happens in Australia is bigger than just one race. It is a statement. It is pressure. It is strategy at the highest level. Subscribe now, because what Ferrari is about to reveal in Melbourne might change the balance of power before the season even truly begins. Everyone is focused on lap times. That is the distraction. Because Ferrari was not chasing headlines in Bahrain. They were chasing confirmation. Correlation between wind, tunnel, and track. Hybrid deployment mapping under extreme heat. Mechanical balance with a heavier rear architecture. And they got it. But here is where this story becomes uncomfortable for the rest of the grid. Ferrari completed thousands of kilometers in pre-season testing without a major mechanical failure. No blown engines. No gearbox drama. No emergency rebuilds in the garage. That matters more than a flashy fastest lap. Because reliability is silent power. And the 067/6 power unit is not just surviving distance. Is operating inside a wider performance window. Lewis Hamilton described the front end as aggressive, responsive, sharp on entry, but he also hinted at something subtle. The car has performance if you manage it correctly. That means the SF-26 is not a forgiving machine. It rewards precision. It punishes excess. And that is where Australia becomes fascinating. Albert Park is not Bahrain, is less abrasive, more flowing, but brutally punishing on traction zones. Turn 3, turn 11, slow exits where turbo response defines overtakes. Now remember the smaller Honeywell turbine, reduced rotational inertia, faster spool, minimal lag in lower gears. In Bahrain telemetry, Ferrari gained roughly 2/10 just on exit traction compared to Mercedes. 2/10 from mechanical response alone. Translate that to Melbourne's layout, and you begin to see the strategy. But this is not only about acceleration. Ferrari refined the hybrid mapping specifically for hotter track conditions. Australia frequently sees track temperatures above 40 degrees. Battery clipping on long straights can destroy race pace. So Ferrari adjusted deployment curves. Smoother release, less aggressive spikes, more sustained energy delivery. That means fewer moments where the car feels flat halfway down a straight. And this is critical, because Melbourne rewards consistency more than aggression. But there is a deeper layer here. Why would Ferrari focus so heavily on thermal efficiency before the first race? Because they expect Australia to expose weakness. Last season, degradation in hot conditions hurt them. Rear tires overheated. Grip faded earlier than expected. This year, the rear suspension geometry has subtle reinforcement to stabilize load under acceleration. Not dramatic, not obvious, but enough to support the new diffuser concept. And that diffuser is doing more than generating downforce. It is working in synergy with the exhaust flow. Hot gases accelerate airflow along the ramp, increasing extraction efficiency. That increases rear stability mid-corner, which means drivers can apply throttle earlier, which means traction gains multiply. And suddenly that smaller turbine, that hybrid mapping, that rear wing rotation system, they are not isolated upgrades. They are connected. Each one amplifies the other. This is not a random update package. It is a coordinated strike. But here is the tension building inside the garage. In long-run simulations, Hamilton extracted more from energy deployment than Leclerc. Not by luck, by rhythm. He managed battery regeneration phases with surgical precision. Half a second advantage in one simulation. That introduces internal pressure. Because if the car rewards energy discipline, experience becomes decisive. And Australia is not forgiving to mistakes. One mismanaged stint. One overheated rear tire phase. One poorly timed deployment cycle. and that early advantage disappears. So now the question shifts. Is Ferrari arriving in Melbourne confident or desperate to prove something immediately? Because bringing this level of refinement to round one sends a message. We are not waiting. We are setting the pace. But bold moves at the start of a season carry consequences. If rivals confirm Ferrari's pace in qualifying, development directions change overnight. If Ferrari struggles with degradation, confidence swings back to Red Bull. And that psychological swing is sometimes worth more than raw lap time. So as we move closer to race weekend, remember this. The SF-26 is not just updated, is calibrated for Australia. And that means Ferrari believes this circuit is their opportunity. The opportunity to lead, or the moment that reveals the hidden flaw no one has seen yet. And that is where the next layer of this story begins. Now here is where the tension quietly explodes. Because the most controversial piece of the SF-26 is not the engine, is not even the diffuser. It is the rear wing system that nobody fully understands yet. The so-called pivot central concept. At first glance, it looks legal, clean, approved. But when activated, the upper flap rotates from the center axis instead of the edge. That changes airflow behavior completely. In Bahrain, telemetry showed gains of up to 12 kilometers per hour on the main straight. 12. At a circuit where overtaking is difficult. Now imagine that in Melbourne, where track position is everything. But the straight line speed is only half of the story. The real advantage appears under braking. Traditional drag reduction systems close abruptly. Downforce returns suddenly. That can destabilize the rear axle. Ferrari's system rebuilds load progressively. Smooth, predictable, controlled. That means Hamilton can brake meters later into turn 1. Leclerc can carry more confidence into high-speed direction changes. And confidence equals lap time. But here is the part most people missed. The rear wing does not work alone. It works with the exhaust flow. Ferrari's packaging routes hot gases in a way that energizes airflow around the rear structure. When the wing closes, those gases help stabilize the wake. Cleaner air behind the car. Less turbulence. That means the second Ferrari in a train could benefit too. Strategic implications begin to form. Team play becomes easier. But this innovation creates risk. Because once rivals see measurable advantage, they push for regulatory clarification. If the system dominates in Australia, scrutiny increases immediately. And that forces Ferrari into a delicate position. Win convincingly and invite political pressure. Underperform and lose psychological momentum. There is no neutral outcome. And we have not even discussed Red Bull yet. Red Bull traditionally starts season strong. Efficient aero platform, stable rear end, exceptional race pace. But insiders suggest Ferrari may hold a 2/10 advantage in qualifying trim. 2/10 at a circuit where overtaking is difficult can lock in control of strategy. However, long-run simulations still show Red Bull slightly stronger in tire longevity, which means Sunday could become a chess match. Ferrari might take pole. Red Bull might control stint 2. And this is where the new Melbourne specification power unit becomes decisive. Because Ferrari refined energy deployment specifically to reduce clipping in hot conditions. Less mid-straight power loss. More consistent electrical boost. That could neutralize Red Bull's traditional race advantage. But there is a psychological layer beneath all of this. Ferrari is starting the season aggressively. Not cautiously. Aggressively. They are not hiding development. They are accelerating it. That signals internal belief. Belief that this chassis has a higher development ceiling than last year. Belief that Hamilton's experience in managing complex cars gives them an edge. Belief that Leclerc's qualifying aggression can secure track position early. And when a team acts with belief, rivals notice. Yet pressure increases inside the garage, because expectations are no longer modest. The narrative has shifted. Ferrari is not chasing. Ferrari is threatening. And threatening early in a championship forces every other team to make decisions sooner than planned. Do they rush upgrades? Do they conserve budget? Do they copy Ferrari's diffuser geometry? Each reaction costs time. Each reaction costs money. And under budget cap restrictions, early mistakes are amplified across the entire season. So Melbourne is not just round 1. It is a trigger point. If Ferrari proves the 4/10 simulation gain is real, development across the grid changes immediately. If that gain collapses under race conditions, then Ferrari exposed their strategy too early. Everything now balances on traction, thermal control, and stability under braking. 3 invisible elements. 3 potential advantages, 3 possible weaknesses. And as the paddock packs for Australia, one thing is clear. Ferrari is not arriving quietly. They are arriving with intent. But intent alone does not win championships. Execution does. And the smallest flaw under the Australian sun could reveal whether this bold evolution was genius or miscalculation.